What up, guys? Your boy Quake back with a brand new episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. And yes, I still have this mitten/glove on my hand. It is still freezing cold in here. The heater hasn't been fixed. The guy was supposed to come Saturday, but timing just didn't work out. So by the time you guys listen to this podcast, hopefully the guy would have come on Monday and fixed it because it is freezing cold in here. But I'm dealing with it for this week. It's unfortunate, right as the coldest week of Georgia's ever come, the heater just stops working. It's like I get the shittiest luck ever, but it is what it is. We're going to keep it moving. There is some exciting news I'm going to announce about the podcast pretty soon here. It'll be the first episode that premieres in February. I landed a deal with a company that I'm not going to mention right now because I want to surprise you guys more with the deal. And this deal, these people are sponsoring the podcast for all of season 4. So I am truly, humbly, and everything that you can think of, grateful to all of you guys for supporting. We finally made it to the point where, you know, there's some extra funds coming in, and with that funds, I'm going to be putting it right back into the podcast. I hired a social media manager that can start posting a lot of stuff on social media, so I don't have to do it because I was doing it previously. Besides the Snapchat and Facebook, I had somebody else doing that, but you know, you need multiple people doing multiple things in order for things to grow and work, because I can't do it all by myself. I do need one for the main channel, the main Diverse Mentality documentary channel, but I'll figure that down the line. Right now, my main focus is the podcast, just to get it to, you know, double the level that what it was in season 3, because I think my ultimate goal is to get the podcast to the point where it's making enough money that I can just take that money and do the documentaries that I want to do and not have to worry about if I recoup the money from those documentaries, if that makes sense. So on my main channel, I'm doing the documentaries, like the Give Rich or Die Trying documentary, right? Put a lot of money into it, haven't recouped the money yet. But I want to get to the point where the podcast is making that type of money, so then I can just take that, put it into the documentaries I want to do, regardless of whatever views they get. Just me doing it because I want to do it, you know, instead of being restrained to, you know, having to worry about budgets and worry about, you know, oh, am I going to recoup the money? You know, just kind of just do it for the love of it. And, you know, who cares if I recoup or not? You know, at this point, I'm not at the level of doing that. But eventually I want to get to that level where I can just do the documentaries I love to do and not have to worry about recouping anything. And, you know, even hire a video editor on there, because I'm on the main channel, I'm doing everything by myself on there. I haven't invested in getting a video editor. I had a video editor for a brief moment, just didn't work out. But on the main channel, it's very hard. The main channel is way harder than the podcast. Main channel is a whole documentaries that you have to edit, and it's like an hour, 2 hours long, and they have to do it the way you like it. Each second has to be like perfect for me. So that's going to be somebody that I hire like in person. You know, I have to have that person in person because I'll be able to kind of guide better. I tried doing it like, you know, hiring somebody online and trying to work like that. It just never ended up working out the way that I wanted. So yeah, so exciting news. Hopefully you guys support. I would appreciate if you guys support the person. I'm going to be a brand ambassador for this company. They're sponsoring the whole season 4. They're going to see how season 4 goes, and if it goes very well in terms of performance, then they will sponsor season 5 and so on and so forth. So I really need you guys' support on this. This is like, if anything I could ask from you guys on the podcast, other than watching and liking and commenting the regular stuff, this would be something that I would tremendously appreciate. You know, because first off, I actually like this product. I'm actually a consumer of this product, and you can even see it on the podcast. Quite a few episodes where I consume this. I actually genuinely enjoy it. And then I got to a point where I was like, okay, let me see if I can get, you know, we can work something out and do something. They agreed to it. Amazing. So that's going to be announced on the first episode in the month of February. So I don't know exactly what date that is. And then the podcast is not really going to change. You know, I'm just going to shout them out every each segment. And, you know, yeah. So I'll give you guys more details when it comes there, but it's going to help a lot. There's going to be a lot of different things. With this extra funds, I can hire that social media manager to post a lot more on the podcast. So slowly building it up. You know, it takes time. These things take time. So let's get into the news. Speaking of somebody that's made money, it seems like Keefe D has got some bread, because usually when somebody does this, they got some money. So let's go over the article. What am I talking about? Keefe D has gotten rid of his public defenders and has hired a new attorney to represent him in the murder trial going forward. So public defenders are people you get when you don't have any money, like an attorney to hire or anything. They'll just give you whoever is voluntarily willing to work. And you know, legally in America, you have to have an attorney. Like that's your law right as a citizen to have an attorney to defend you. But they're usually called public defenders because they help just people that can't afford. But the problem with public defenders is they take on so many cases, like that's just their job, that they usually, sometimes it's very messed up, but sometimes they only get like 20 minutes on your case. Like imagine somebody's facing some type of crazy sentence and your public defender only looked at your case for 20 minutes and tried to come up with a conclusion of what to do. Like that's not enough time, not even remotely close, unless you stole a Snickers bar or something like that. Then it's like, okay, you know, we can work this out, but still, regardless. So he had a public defender. He's now switched to hiring an attorney, meaning he's got some money, meaning somebody's paying him. I don't know, because I don't know where he got this money from, because he was saying he was broke, can't afford bond, this and that. So I don't know, where this is coming from. But the notice of the substitution was filed in Las Vegas courts on Thursday, January 18th, and accepted by the courts on Friday, January 19th. Records show that Carl Arnold, a Howard University School of Law graduate who has been named to the National Trial Lawyers Top 100. So he's a top 100 lawyer from the National Trial Lawyers list, and is now representing the ex-gang leader and accused killer. Previously, Keefe court-appointed attorneys submitted a tape on January 11th that allegedly demonstrates the depths of Diddy's involvement in the shooting. So we talked about that, I believe, in the previous episode. So, yeah, this is interesting. This is an interesting twist and turn because, like I said, Keefe said he doesn't have money. He doesn't have money for bond, doesn't really have, he's broke, essentially. That's what he said in a lot of these hearings. But it looks like, you know, he's gotten money from somewhere, and it'd be interesting to see, you know, if somebody's actually giving him money or somebody's offering to pay for the attorney, which I don't know if you can do that, right? Legally, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know the laws on that, but he's got money from somewhere. Somewhere money's coming. And you know, if I was going to do anything, and if I was locked up in this situation, first, mind you, Keefe is like 60-something years old. So we talked about this before. I would first make sure my family's good. That's the number one thing. Are they financially well off? Second, I would look, what is the probability of me getting out? What are the chances? You know, just use my common sense and just think before I would spend any money on trying to get myself out. So I think Keefe D thinks that there's a probability he can get out. That's why he's spending money on an attorney, because I wouldn't spend money on an attorney if I knew the chances of me getting out were very slim, because then I would just be wasting money trying to fight something that, you know, I'm going to be locked up for regardless. The chance of me getting out is slim. Plus, at that age, 60, 70, I know spending prison time regardless doesn't matter what age you are. It sucks. But at that age, I would value, like I said, I would weigh out the options and value kind of my family more, and them enjoying my money that I made from the stuff that I've done, instead of, you know, me trying to get out at, you know, the age of 60-something, you know, because how many more years do you have left? Keefe talked about having cancer and dealing with a bunch of health problems. So the question kind of lingers is like, should I, you know, spend all this money trying to get myself out and then potentially only live a couple, you know, years or months or whatever longer? Or do I save this money so my family could be in a better position? So that's a question that Keefe is going to have to ask and see. It looks like he's going more to self-preservation here, because he is looking to save his ass. And we'll see. We'll keep our eye on this, man. Speaking of Tupac murders and stuff like that and people relating to Tupac, Suge Knight. This is interesting. So Suge Knight seemingly took a diss at Eminem. And what are we talking about here? So let's go over the article. Suge Knight has attributed what he considers the sole failure in Tupac's catalog to Eminem, who oversaw one of the late rapper's posthumous projects. On the new episode of Collect Call with Suge Knight that premiered on Tuesday with Dave Mays' Breakbeat Media, the former Death Row Records boss talked to Cat Williams about loyalty, the music business, and working out, among several other topics. During their chat, the 53-year-old also discussed all the people trying to get a piece of Pac following his demise, and that one record that turned out poorly as a result. So let's play the clip.
But at the same time, man, it's like this. A lot of people been want to do like songs with Pac. A lot of people, you know, some people did some with Pac, and they never. There was only one Tupac project that ever flopped before. And that's the one Eminem did on unreleased. All the rest of them were successful.
So Suge Knight is saying that the only Tupac posthumous or Tupac project in general that flopped was the one that Eminem had a part in making. So let's go over. Let's see what the performance of this album was. And let's see. It was the 9th studio album from Pac and the 5th posthumous studio album by Pac. So let's go over the numbers, man. I'm really curious. So Loyal to the Game debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart with first week sales of over 330,000 copies within its first week. This was December 14th, 2004. On February 15th, 2005, the album was certified platinum with sales of over 1 million copies. As of September 2011, the album has sold 1.2 million copies in the United States. I do remember, some of these tracks off this project. But how is this a flop? That's the question here. What is Suge Knight talking about? Does he just not like Eminem? Or did he feel maybe too Slim Shady sounding, I guess? Maybe. I do remember this project, and I don't remember a lot of tracks. I do remember some of them. But it wasn't that bad. From what I remember, it wasn't that bad of an album. So why is Suge Knight calling this a flop? Because maybe he hasn't sold like the rest of the Pac albums when it comes to overall sales. But debuting at number 1 is not it's not a flop. If you debut at number 1, that's not. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if you sell 20,000 copies that week. You're number 1 that week. It doesn't matter. If you outperformed everybody that week that came out, you're number 1. How is that a flop? What's the, I'm confused on that. Like that logic to me makes no sense. Now, are there standards for certain artists? Like, hey, if an artist drops, this is what you expect. But if they don't sell that much, some people still consider it a flop. I can see that. I can understand that. But still, if you're number 1 that week, you beat out everybody. How is that a flop? To me, that doesn't make any sense. If you're still number 1 that week. Now, you could also look at it like this. Let's just say you're number 1 that week, but then you fall off the second week. You go to number, 17, right? Because most albums, they don't fall that far down the second week. They'll fall like to 3rd, 4th, maybe 7th, maybe out the top 10 the second week. But if the second week it falls a lot, then maybe it's a flop. Because at that point, you're like, okay, you had that number 1 for that week, but then the album just isn't impacting like that. But I mean, you guys have to factor in Tupac is not alive, so you can't promote the album. Eminem can, attach his name to it, which he did, and produce things, which he did. But at the end of the day, like, he can't go out there and promote the album and be like, oh, check out this new Tupac album. Check out the new Tupac album. That's something only Tupac could do, or the people that are, like his mother could do, or something like that. But let's see if there's any updates on the actual certifications on this album. Yeah, there's no updates on the Loyal to the Game album. So it was certified platinum February 15, 2005. So we don't know as of now how much it's sold. It's been, basically 19 years it's been. There's been no updates on the sales on this album. So a lot of these need to be updated, Look at that. All Eyes on Me album went diamond back in 2014. Tupac's Greatest Hits album went diamond back in 2011. It's a long time ago. You might have a double diamond album by now. 20 million records on an album by now. It's been for the Greatest Hits. I'm sure the Greatest Hits probably be the one that would be more. That would actually, I think that would be the one that would outperform the All Eyes on Me album because it's the Greatest Hits. It has all the songs in one. I'm almost willing to bet that Greatest Hits is over 20 million sold by now. It's 2011 last time they updated. And that was diamond, meaning 10 million sold. You look, it's been 2011, 2021 was 10 years. You add on, another 3? 22, 23, 24. Yeah, so 13 years later, it definitely, I can see it being over 20 million sold. But I don't know, man. That's a question that, for different people, it's different ways. I think if you go number 1, it's still number 1 at the end of the day. It goes down in history as number 1. But, I mean, I sometimes also look at the second week and third week and say, you know what? or you can also look at the impact of the album. So if you fell off quick and you didn't really impact, but we can't really factor the impact aspect because Pac isn't there to kind of promote it, push it out there, and it's not his vision on an album. It's whatever people think is the right vision for a Tupac album, or at least what Eminem thought at the time. But regardless, it went number one. So I think Suge Knight calling it a flop, just to me, I disagree with. He still went number one. Sold 330,000 first week. That's not like at the time, even at that time, that's not like chump change numbers. 330,000 in a week. That's not not everybody was fucking doing those numbers. Let's just say that. So Suge Knight is working on a posthumous album, and he in this interview, like on this episode, he was talking with Cat Williams. So Cat Williams is gonna have a role in that posthumous album. I don't know how that's gonna go. I don't know if people are really excited about it. I've heard kind of backlash and kind of oh, what is going on? Why is Cat Williams on a posthumous Tupac album? I think I know Pac had a lot of records, and he probably still does, that have never been released. There's been a lot of music that's been leaked, and that's people been purchasing on like forums and just all kinds of crazy stuff. I understand that, but at a certain point, it's like, how many more posthumous albums, should you release from this guy? At a certain point, it's like, okay, we've released what we think is it, and that's it, and there should be no more. So let's see how much. I don't remember how many posthumous albums Pac even has. Let's see here. So let's go over Tupac's. I'm curious. I really want to see how much posthumous albums does Tupac have released. Because if it's over 10, yeah, they're tripping. The time of the death, obviously the fifth and final studio album, the Don Illuminati, but that was released posthumously, even though he did finish that album and had already planned to release. So I guess you can we won't count that. Since Pac was alive, finished it within a week in August of 1996, it's different. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 posthumous albums. The last one being Pac's Life. I remember that record. What do you know about Pac's life? That record was fire with T.I., I think, on that, and Ashanti, yeah. I didn't mind the Pac's Life album. Where did this album debut at? See, this one debuted at number 9, selling 159,000. That's a flop. You debuted at number, not even barely in the top 10. That's a flop. They tripping. Saying Eminem's is a flop, and that bitch went number 1. Hell no. So you got 1, 2, yeah, like I said, 7 posthumous albums. I think that's way too much for somebody that's passed away. I get it. The guy has an insane amount of music, but if you're going to do a posthumous album, do it. I don't know, man. It's tough with these posthumous albums. That's why I don't like the AI stuff, because it's the person's not here, man. I wouldn't want, if I passed away, God forbid, whatever, I wouldn't want somebody taking, projects that I had. Let's just say the Give It Should I Try documentary, and then trying to do a massacre documentary and being like, this is what Quake would have done, and this is how he would have executed it. And I wouldn't like that because I'm not there. That's just my, personal opinion on it. But I mean, I don't know. It's a slippery slope with these things, man. I think, I don't even get into the AI stuff when it comes to Pac, because the AI stuff can be ridiculous. But I think it's been a while since we got a Tupac posthumous album. So if Suge Knight feels like Cat Williams is one of the people to do it, and they take their time with it and they execute it properly, then whatever, man. Release another Tupac posthumous album. I think 7 is good enough. I think they should be done with that. A lot of people gave a lot of backlash to the Pac's Life album. A lot of people didn't like it. The reviews on it were bad. I remember it getting released and people were just shitting on it left and right. So after that, I'm glad that they never released anything after that, like physical albums that came out from labels, because at that point it's like, now you're just milking a cow. We saw how bad it went with Pop Smoke. Oh my God, that second posthumous album was so bad. There's only like 2 tracks that were good on there. It was so bad. They were trying to milk Pop Smoke for as much as they could. Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon was like 70 to 80% complete from Pop Smoke. So it makes sense to put that out there. But the fucking second one, nah, man. Juice WRLD, I'm not even gonna lie though. Juice WRLD's, he's got fucking a lot of music. That guy was super talented. He's got a lot of posthumous albums coming out that are actually really good, in my opinion. I think they're handling the Juice WRLD situation way better than I think anybody else posthumously that I can think of. I think Juice WRLD's getting the best, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, other people have given backlash about Juice WRLD stop releasing projects. How much more music does he have? I'm really curious to see how the Nipsey Hussle posthumous releases happen, because it's been a long time. We're in 2000 and we're about to be in we are in 2000. What am I saying? About to be in 2024, but we're about to be in the anniversary of Nipsey's death, which was in 2019 to 2020. That's 2021, 2, 3. So it's about to be 5 years since Nipsey passed, and there's not a single posthumous album. Nothing. There's posthumous verses on, songs, but we haven't gotten a posthumous album from Nipsey. And I think they're really taking their time, and they're trying to do it in a way that I hope they do it, because I don't even know at this point. It seems like we're not even going to get a posthumous album from Nipsey, which would really suck, but that's what I'm most excited for. So, yeah, we'll keep our eye on this. I guess Suge Knight had some choice words for Eminem. It is what it is. What do you guys think about the album? I don't know. Leave your comments if you're watching this on the video version. New updates on FBG Duck. Apparently, the 6 O Block gang members have officially been found guilty of murdering him. So let's go over the article. FBG Duck's murder trial has delivered a verdict with 6 O Block gang members found guilty of the Chicago rapper's killing. FBG Duck's real name, Carlton Weekly, was shot and killed in August 2020 while shopping in Chicago's Gold Coast neighborhood. The rapper's girlfriend and another shopper were wounded in the attack. Witnesses to the shooting claimed that the 2 cars pulled up alongside Duck, with 4 men jumping out and firing guns at the rapper. He was hit 16 times. That is insane. Duck, who was 26 at the time, was pronounced dead when he arrived at the Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Prosecutors claimed that the rapper was a victim of an ongoing feud between O Block and Tukaville faction of the gangster Disciples, which Duck was allegedly a member of. The 6 men convicted of Duck's murder are Marcus Muwap Smart, Christopher C. Thang Thomas, Kenneth Kenny Mac Robertson, Charles C. Murder Liggins, to Carlos Los Offred, and Ralph Teasy Turpin. They got all the photos up there. The person, Offred, Liggins, Robertson, and Smart were found guilty of 5 of 7 counts, including murder and conspiracy to commit murder. Thomas was found guilty to 3 counts of Turpin, who allegedly gave the shooters Duck's location, was found guilty of 2 counts. The men will be sentenced at an upcoming date. Duck's mother, Lashina Weekly, celebrated the verdict with friends and family watching on as the trial concluded on Wednesday, January 17th, after 3 months. She wrote on her story, "Guilty, all their ass is guilty." She also said in an interview with the Chicago Times, "When stuff like that happens to a good person, regardless of what somebody else thinks of them, it ain't going to go unpunished. Knowing that they will not do that to another family brings me comfort. Knowing they will not terrorize nobody else. They're done. The whole crew, O Block, and everything of it is done." She added, "I could never want another mother to feel like this, to see their child shot down the street like a dog. They had FBG Duck death parties. That's how much it meant to them." Overall, we know the Chicago war and what's happening back and forth. It's been something that's been going on for quite some time. I'm relating to this to Chief Keefe, because Chief Keefe posted a photo of himself, and people were saying like he looks very old, like he's looking like he's gotten old. Really, in the photo, he's actually kind of my age. He was born in August of 1995. I was born in April of 1995, so that's how I know how old Chief Keefe is. But he's 28 years old, so that's not old. If he's old, I'm old. Then I guess I'm washed up and old, I guess. So he just looks. He has a beard, and he just kind of looks like he's more grown than what we used to see him in, like back in Love Sosa days in 2013. But it's a beautiful thing to grow old. That's a blessing in itself, that you get to experience life fully until you're 80, 90, 100, and then you pass away. Those are the people that are blessed the most. They get to have a full life. People make fun of old people, but it's a blessing to grow old. That's just the reality situation. Chief Keef's lost so many people on his way up to where he's at right now, that the fact that he's made it, I mean, the reality is Chief Keef got out of that Chicago area he was living there for a little bit when he blew up. He bought a house like in the better neighborhoods, but then he eventually moved to Los Angeles and never went back. Never looked back, never, I don't think he even visits. If he does, none of us know, because all I know of Chief Keef is that he's in his house making beats and sometimes occasionally writing verses and then he'll occasionally drop a music project here and there, minding his own business. Even 6ix9ine tried to drag him to the bullshit that, hey, let's beef. He didn't entertain it 1 second. So that's why he's still alive now. He's not entertaining the bullshit. He could have responded to so many people clowning him, so many people not calling him fake and not real, and he ain't tough, and he ain't a gangster, and he got punked out of Chicago, and all these things online that have been said about him throughout all these years. He don't give two fucks, man. But FBG Duck, Lil Durk, all these people, King Von, and everybody else involved in all this Chicago beef, they constantly play with this, constantly play back and forth. And, unfortunately, this is what happens. Yeah, overall, man, sad to be gunned down 16 times is something that, no human should experience that doesn't deserve it. Let's just say that. The only people that deserve to get gunned down 16 times are people that hurt children and, people that do really, really bad things. Let's just say Hitler, like, for example. He deserves to be gunned down 16 times, okay? We get that. That we understand. But it's rare. Very small percentage of human beings that have done bad deserve to be gunned down that much time. So, yeah, rest in peace to him. That's another 6 men that are locked up for, I assume, a really, really long time, potentially life in prison. Unfortunate, all these situations. But, we got the verdict. Case is done. 3 months it took. So, we're hearing stories about YSL Rico Gang and how they're not going to allow cameras in there. They're trying not to allow cameras in there as well. So whenever that ends, we have all these trials going on in hip-hop. That's some of it's really, really unfortunate. So, yeah, we'll keep our eye on if anything comes new when it comes to relating to this and their sentencing. We'll see what they get for sentencing. New update on the Cardi B and Tasha K ongoing legal battle. And Cardi B is on her ass, as she should be, because Tasha K is probably one of the worst media personalities out there. She spreads false information and tries to get interviews of just trying to get tea and negativity out of people. So let's go over the article. Cardi B has made it clear that she intends on getting every dime owed to her by Tasha K. And now the Bodak Yellow rapper claims that the disgraced blogger is going so far as to hide assets in order to prevent collection efforts. According to court documents obtained by Radar Online, Cardi B's attorneys have ordered the courts to compel Patricia Haynes to comply with recent subpoenas against her, which she is allegedly trying to dodge. The attorneys claim that Haynes has information about offshore accounts established by the Unwind with Tasha K host and her husband, which she allegedly failed to disclose in her initial Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing. Aside from Cardi B wanting to collect the money owed to her by any means necessary, Tasha K's alleged failure to disclose assets is a violation of 18 U.S.C., which details the penalties of debtors who knowingly and fraudulently conceals from a custodian, trustee, marshal, or other officer of the court charged with the control or custody of property or in connection with a case under Title 11 from creditors of the United States trustee, any property belonging to the state of the debtor. Hiding assets during a bankruptcy proceeding is a federal offense, and if Cardi B can prove that Tasha K was in fact knowingly failing to disclose the true extent of her assets, the disgraced blogger could face criminal fines and federal prison sentence up to 5 years. I love that. Cardi B, do your thing any way that you can get the money. Do it. Because this is the type of person that deserves this type of punishment. I hope she goes down, Tasha K, because I've said this millions of times on the podcast. She is knowingly spreading misinformation about people. And even if she's getting some type of factual information, why constantly seek out negativity amongst people? That's like me bringing in people that were associated with certain artists, people that were just chilling by the artists or whatever, and having them spread false rumors. It's stupid. And it's and if you don't have any proof to back it up, it's just he said, she said type shit, then you shouldn't be in media, period. You need to move with honor and integrity. And if you accidentally report something that you later find out is false, because we're humans, we make mistakes, go back and correct it. That's what needs to happen way more in media. That doesn't happen often at all. People will say something false and will never go back to correct it. I've done this a few times where I messed up reporting something, and then I'll go back and correct it. And I've done that probably, I don't even know how many times, probably 5-6 times, because I usually don't mess up reports. Unless there's by the time the video comes out, there's new information that came out, then I can't, I can't, re-record it until, when the information comes out. Then I'll mention that okay, this is the new information that came out. I'll correct myself. But that's the only time where it's like some people will watch my videos and then they'll comment and be like, oh, this is wrong because a day later some information came out. When I recorded it was the day before, so I can't tell the fucking future. So that's the only time where, things can get tricky with me when it comes to my content. But other than that, I definitely fact check. You have to fact check a lot of these things because a lot of it's bullshit. But shout out to Cardi B. Continue to get every dime from her. And I hope she actually, I don't want to wish prison on people. She deserves more punishment than what she does because clearly she hasn't learned. She just keeps doing what she's doing. She hasn't learned at all. None of this taught her anything. So it's unfortunate, man. But yeah, we'll keep our eye on this. Kid Cudi and Lupe Fiasco. I had no idea these two had beef. I'm the guy that started the whole beef series on a lot of these things. Not the beef DVDs and stuff. I'm just saying on YouTube. But I had no idea these two had beef. For some reason, I just was, and I'm a huge Lupe Fiasco fan, so I was oblivious to this whole thing. So let's go over this Kid Cudi and Lupe Fiasco back and forth on social media that happened recently. It's very interesting. And Lupe Fiasco went off. Like he had insane disgust towards Kid Cudi. So let's see how it all started. Kid Cudi and Lupe Fiasco have been at odds for years, but long before they became adversaries, Cudi had a feeling that things between them would go south. In a new interview with Apple Music's Zane Lowe, the Insano rapper recalled a near encounter with Lupe in 2008 at the Bape store in New York City, where he worked before his music career took off. Cudi explained that he made an effort to stay out the way if any famous rappers swung through the store for fear they'd use his retail job as ammo against him in a future feud. That's very, very forward thinking. That's interesting. And that was the case with Lupe. So let's go over let's play the clip for you guys. So you guys can hear what Kid Cudi has to say.
I also had like this phobia that rappers would come into the store and like see me working there and then have beef with me later and bring up the fact like, nigga, you sold me clothes. So like, I would always like hide in the stock room.
Who did you hide from?
So like, and this is funny, but we're laughing about this, right? Lupe Fiasco came to the store one day. He was in the store, I was in the back, and they was like, yo, Lupe's here. I was like, oh shit. Stayed down the stairs, waited till he left. And I was like, yo, what you down here for? And I explained it to my dude, same way I explained it to you. I was like, yo, bro, if I get famous one day, right, I don't ever want this nigga saying like, yo, you sold me clothes, you my son. You know what I'm saying? We can't have that. Like, this was my explanation. And yo, bro, when you think about it, he hates me to this day. He hates me. So it's like I was right. I was on to something. I sensed something in the universe, you know? So this is like my plan at that time, you know? I was like totally hyper aware that something was gonna happen for me. And, you know, I was just like, fuck this, I can't have nobody making no diss record. Like, yeah, you rang me up, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
So that's interesting. You know, and like I said, that's a great way of thinking ahead of time. Because there are rappers that would clown you on that. Oh, you gave me clothes. You're my bitch giving me clothes, you employee. You know, they would say some shit like that. Apparently, the beef between Kid Cudi and Lupe Fiasco began all the way back in 2014 when the two rappers went back and forth on Twitter over Lupe charging fans $500 for a personalized verse, which Cudi called out for seeming a little bit sketchy. Apparently, that rubbed Lupe Fiasco the wrong way. And then the following year, Lupe dissed Cudi at a show in Milwaukee, warning the Cleveland native that it's on site if they ever run into each other. Later in March 2022, the Kick Push rapper took another shot at Cudi while addressing Will Smith slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. Let it be known that the rivalry was very much still alive. I hope they can find some time to come in terms with what happened, reconcile, and move on. He tweeted, but still fuck Cudi for life. That's a weird. I actually might do a what really happened video on this because I want to look into this more. I doubt it's. I would be surprised if that's the reason why things went sour because of a tweet. But Lupe Fiasco is somebody. I want to make this very clear. I don't think people really don't understand this about Lupe Fiasco. He is one of the most gangsta rappers that there is in hip hop, but has never he doesn't embrace that side. He doesn't, But he's tied, especially in Chicago, to some of the most gangsters that's ever existed in Chicago. But Lupe Fiasco doesn't move like that. And yes, he will fuck you up if he sees you on site. I've heard stories of shit like that. And Lupe ain't one to play with, man. But he is a very, very obviously great guy. He's not one to look for trouble. And obviously he's I think to me one of the best hip hop artists that's ever existed. He's in my top 10 of all time, even potentially top 5. Like I think he's one of the best to ever do it. But that's a whole different thing. So after this interview came out, Lupe Fiasco decided to speak on the interview. And this is what he did. So it's a long series of tweets. It's quite a bit. So let me see. Let me click on this, and then we're going to go over some of these tweets. In a series of tweets fired off on Friday, January 19th, the Battle Scars rapper started out by calling Cudi out of his name, making a direct reference to his recent statements about his pre-fame career. He said, Kid Cudi is a bitch and continues to be a bitch. Ain't nobody finna bring up he used to work at Bape Store to diss his bitch ass for having a regular job before he was a famous bitch with a cool job. When a fan tweeted that they needed to hear the full story, this is what Lupe started to do. So let me go over these tweets. So a fan tweeted at Lupe and said, "We just need to hear the full story. Otherwise, it's just confusing, and both of y'all seem like that Jay-Z verse about being far away and not being able to tell who's who." Laugh my ass off. Okay, I'm done. He said this. This is all facts. Back in the day, Cudi was going through a lot of shit, industry shit, personal shit. I have a habit of reaching out to artists on the low to make sure they're cool. I did that with Cudi. Just like words of encouragement and your peers got your back type shit. Fast forward, he mentions that in an interview. Every time I see Cudi, I ask if he's good, etc. Plus, I'm a fan of this guy, so I'm happy to see him rise. Time passes. The next time I see him at a show in LA, it's me, A$AP Rocky, and a few other guys. Again, same energy, show love. Now, follow this next part carefully. Fast forward, I'm on Twitter offering my fans a personal verse. Okay, so it is true. For like $500. You pick the beat, the concept, I rap it, make the dope one-of-one art package for it. No copies, just the one you own. People vibing with it. Boom. Cudi tweets me out of nowhere and asks, what are you going to do with the money from those verses? I'm taken aback by it, and I'm thinking he's playing, so I respond with, what are you going to do with the money from those $1,500 Zanuti collabs? He just did a collab with them around the same time. Continuing on, he says, then it's silence, but I'm not really thinking about it. Then after a few minutes, I get a bunch of spam tweets talking about I'm a thief and a swindler. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? I go to Cudi's page, and this bitch is on his feed talking about Lupe robbing his fans, and I'd never do that. And now he does an interview a couple days ago saying I'm mad at him because he used to hide from me at the Bape Store before he was even in the music game because I would use it against him later on a diss record. On some job shame, nasty work. Jesus, take the wheel. Yay, get your boy. Till this day, this bitch won't get on the phone. And even when we're at the same festivals, they won't allow me to go to his stage. He ducks calls, face-to-faces. All I wanted was an explanation, at least. My bad. Because I've never done anything to him except support. Now it's fuck him for life and keep my name out your mouth, bitch. I'm not jealous of him. I'm not bullying him. Got nothing to do with fame or money. At the end of the day, he slighted a notoriously good guy, and also one who doesn't play about his name in the streets or in the industry. I stay solid and I seek satisfaction till my heart stops. Continuing on, and now he does an interview a couple of days ago and says I'm mad at him because he used to hide from me at the Bape Store before he was even in the music game because I would use it against him later on a diss. So I guess this is the same tweet because it says part 3. A fan responded and said, no, he's not saying you were mad at him then. He's saying he would duck all the rappers out of insecurity just in case there might be a potential beef in the future. And he was laughing that it came true with you. Beef he started with a guy who actually looked out for him. Make that make sense. Cudi a bitch. So if that's true on Lupe Fiasco's part, that he actually looked out for him, showed love, it is weird though. If a rapper decides to, you know what, I want to make verses for my fans, I'm going to charge $500. And then a random rapper, somebody comes that's of a public figure of your level or your peer comes and says you're potentially scamming people. That's fucked up. It's like, what the hell did I do to you? I'm not scamming people. Why are you randomly throwing shots at me saying I'm scamming people? So I guess that's really how it did start. So Kid Cudi ended up apologizing to Lupe Fiasco. So let's go over the article. On Friday, January 19th, Cudi issued an apology for the comments he made about his interactions with the Chicago rapper and said, "Love you, G. I'm sorry if I hurt you, man. Life is too short. Hope you can find it in your heart to get past this." He added, informing Lupe in a separate thread that he sent him a DM. "I'm so happy in my life right now. If I did something to hurt someone and I can fix it, I'll fix it." In a response to a fan encouraging Cudi to show growth, peace, and happiness. However, Lupe wasn't having it and informed Cudi he hadn't received a DM. To make amends, Lupe said Cudi needs to speak with him directly. "On second thought, homie, this ain't enough. You need to talk to me," he said. He added in response. So let me see if I can find the direct tweet of this. I agree with Lupe, though. They should talk on the phone. It shouldn't be... Lupe, love me, y'all. Don't get it twisted. This is what Kid Cudi said. "Lupe, love me, y'all. Don't get it twisted. He's just hurt. He's beefing with himself at this point. Holding that much hate in your heart for someone for so long holds you back in life, bro. That's the devil using you. Hope he finds some peace, man. Now it's just sad." So he said I didn't. He said I didn't. So Lupe said I didn't get a DM, like Kid Cudi said, and he said he's a lying bitch ass guy. And then Kid Cudi then apologized to Lupe Fiasco again and says the feud's over. We are good now. On Saturday, January 20th, the 39-year-old took to Twitter to share an update regarding his relationship with the Chicago MC. He said this: "Just talked to Lupe, had a great talk. I know I was wrong and told him I shouldn't have did that. I told him I shouldn't have did that fuck shit I did. I called myself looking out for the fans in the moment, but in reality, I was just hating. I apologized, and he accepted it, which I appreciated for real. I understand the anger and vitriol he had for me all these years, and I wasn't mature enough to step up and just have a conversation and admit I was wrong. We as black men need to be united. He always had love for me and always supported me. I shouldn't have did that to him like that. I want to thank my guy IBN for setting the call up, and you, the fans, for being real with me and urging us to speak. We are good now. Brand new journey. Lupe Fiasco. See you soon, brother." Lupe quoted that saying, "Sincerely appreciated my guy. Peace and blessings." And then hashtag his album, Insano. Wild, man. Wild. I think it was very interesting, though, because, that is messed up to do, man. It's like, it's like me promoting something on my YouTube channel, knowing that I'm not scamming anybody or, and somebody like, a hip-hop YouTuber just comes in and says, "This guy's screwing people." And it's like, what the fuck did I do to you? I've never done anything to you. So I can understand where Lupe is coming from. And I can understand he's not really holding. I don't think Lupe was sitting there every day saying, "Fuck Kid Cudi," and waking up with Kid Cudi on his mind. But he was just like I showed you all this love. You just shitted on me. And then now you bring me up in an interview. It's like, I haven't said shit about you ever. And now you bring me up in some interview and say, he doesn't like me. And it's like, bro, there's a reason why, that. I hate that. What I hate is when somebody knows they did something wrong and they don't seem to even notice what they did wrong. Like, I've had that happen so many times with people. It's like, bro, you did this fucked up thing to me. You don't even notice it, but you just move on from the situation, act like we're cool. It's like, no, let's go back here and address this disrespect. That's how I actually fired one of my employees. Like, it was, he said something very disrespectful to me in front of two other people. And I was like, we're not just cool. We're not just going to move on from this. You're either going to apologize, because I did nothing wrong to you, or we're not going to be cool anymore. And it's that simple. I think people who do that, who just say something and just act like, because here's the thing. When you say something to someone else, you don't know how they're reacting to that. You don't know what they're feeling about that. What's their emotional response to that? Could be positive, could be negative, could be taken the wrong way, and you didn't mean it like that. Even on the Get Rich or Die Trying trip, I brought a lot of people with me when we were shooting it. I said something to one of the camera guys there. I'm not going to mention names or anything, but I said something there as a joke. I don't know what I said something about, like, damn, you're drinking all the drinks or something, like something as a joke. It was just like something like, damn, bro, how many of these, like, I haven't had one, or something, like, just as a joke. Took offense to it. And then later on, I didn't realize that, damn, this person took that to heart and felt disrespected. So we talked about it that night at the hotel. I was like, I apologize. Listen, I didn't mean to come off that way when I'm saying that. I didn't mean to be like, oh, you're hoarding things, or you're stingy, or whatever the case may be. I didn't mean to do that as a man. I apologize. Next day we move forward, and we're great friends again. So, I've been in these type of situations. So I know how Lupe Fiasco feels, and a lot of people have been in these type of situations. So I'm glad that they managed to squash the beef. I wish we would have got some, diss tracks out of it, but we never did, I don't think, at least from what I'm aware of. I would love to go into the actual history of these two and just see if we did get anything like that. Ja Rule. I agree with Ja Rule on this. And he finally got asked about Billboard's top 50 rappers list that they released last year for the 50th hip-hop anniversary. And Ja Rule was nowhere on the list, which I wholeheartedly disagree with. Some people could say Ja Rule is not like a rapper's rapper to some people's eyes because he made all the records that blew up were more like love duet songs. But I don't know. I don't see that. I mean, New York is one of the most gangsta. Honestly, I love the New York record. New York, dan, 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 dan. I love that record. But Ja Rule spoke about the top 50 rappers list, and let's see what he said.
I remember, I guess it was last year, Billboard came out with their 50 greatest rappers of all time list.
Yes.
And you spoke up and you said, I have issues with this. By the way, Ice Cube did too. Ice Cube was at number 18.
Yeah.
He called the list irrelevant.
Well, at least he's on the list.
He was. I think he's on the list. He's on the list. He said the list was irrelevant. You said there ain't 50 rappers dead or alive or waiting to be born better than me.
But I'm not a hater, though. Congrats to everyone on the list. Congrats to everyone on the list.
So when you saw it, does it make you mad, or what were the feelings?
Not really. These lists, they're meaningless because music is subjective.
It is.
You like who you want to like. Everybody has their favorite artist and their favorite, whoever. But my thing was...
Let me clear my throat.
Yeah. Because this is a list, comprised by Billboard.
Yeah.
They do numbers and statistics, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so that list is impossible to make without Ja Rule being on it. Statistically, impossible.
Well, I put the numbers up at the beginning of the show. We named all of your rankings on the Billboard list.
And those was number ones. We talking about 17, 20, top 10 entries.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. And this is the artists that on the list that don't have number one records, don't have number one albums.
Right.
So, I'm not knocking anybody on the list because, like I said, music is subjective.
Right.
And when it comes to some of the older artists, you kind of got to go by a different
metrics.
System
it's like, I don't like
they didn't
NBA
have the
rankings.
sales, they didn't have the things. So
I don't
get
like
that.
it. Yeah.
But I said what I said.
I agree. But here's the thing that I think a lot of people didn't do when it comes to this Billboard Top 50 Rappers list. What they don't realize, it was compiled by a lot of people, and it wasn't compiled just off of chart numbers and stuff. Billboard does do that, though. That's why I say the Billboard Music Awards is the only honest music awards show because they go solely off statistics, and that's it. It's got nothing to do with who's popular, who's shifting the culture, who's nothing. It's just, hey, are you pushing numbers? Yes, you are. Are you number one on the charts? Yes, you are. Boom, here's your award. That's why I like the Billboard Music Awards the best because just honest, it's straight up. There's no politics in it. There's no people voting. It's about, listen, does this guy do the numbers? Okay, give him the award, and it's that simple. So on that aspect, I agree. But this top 50 rappers list wasn't just about that. It was about multiple things. They even listed it off. I don't remember exactly, but it was like concert presence, impact in the culture, lots of things. And yes, Ja Rule has impacted the culture. The rapping and singing stuff, you could say he's the one that's the main one that did it, and then eventually people fall. Now, Ja Rule couldn't sing at the level of a Drake, like Drake can, or even Chamillionaire was doing that. And a lot of people sleep on Chamillionaire, but he wasn't maybe a singer like that, but he was doing a mixture of that. And he does, so he said he had like 17, I think, top 10 entries or something like that. So if we're going on Billboard Hot 100, we're not going off the rap chart. So this Billboard Hot 100 is singles, like, which number ones. He's got 3 number one singles, which is hard as fuck to do, by the way. We're not talking number one on rap charts. We're talking about Hot 100, meaning competing with everybody. Every genre, you're number one for the time. And mind you, these songs lasted there for quite some time. The I'm Real record, Ja Rule, Jennifer Lopez, 5 weeks at number 1. The Ain't It Funny record, Jennifer Lopez, Ja Rule, 6 weeks at number 1. The Always On Time record, Ja Rule, Ashanti, 2 weeks at number 1. And then he has 8 top 10 entries. Put It On Me, number 8. Living It Up, number 6. Down For You, number 6. Mesmerized, number 2. Wonderful, number 5. Mind you, Wonderful came out after the 50 Cent beef that everybody thought Ja Rule, I even covered this on the 50 versus Ja Rule documentary I made. Everybody thought Ja Rule fell off, but Wonderful is a track that came after the 50 Cent beef. So that's great. A lot of entries. And then overall, he's got 17 entries on the Hot 100. Not in the top 10, but just in the Hot 100 in general. So, if you're looking at statistics and even some cultural impact, he does have that. But I think the 50 Cent thing kind of really, really derailed him to the point where, which it shouldn't be a factor, and this is coming from one of the biggest 50 Cent fans ever. Ja Rule's got hits. I think anybody that denies that or tries to clown that or say that's not a reality is just straight up hating for no reason. Ja Rule does have hits, and I agree with him. He should have been on the list. There's a few other artists, but at the end of the day, like Ja Rule said, it's, music is just basically opinions. What do you prefer? What do you like? That's why I never get mad when somebody's like, oh, 50 Cent is trash and, he can't rap or shit and the only good album he has is Get Rich. I wholeheartedly disagree, and I think you're a moron because to say only Get Rich is the only good album, that's ridiculous, but people literally say that and think that. So, but that's their opinion. That's what they think. They think the Massacre was too pop and Massacre was garbage and then Curtis flopped and all this other stuff. And people say all this stuff, whatever. I disagree with that, but I do agree with Ja Rule saying what he's saying because, I think a lot of people are not whitewashing. This has nothing to do with race. Why did I mention whitewashing? But just washing, Ja Rule's kind of career and acting like what he did wasn't one of the most legendary runs. Like, dude, he was beating Jay-Z, DMX. Like, he was beating these guys who everybody hailed at Nas at the time. The only person he wasn't beating was Eminem. That's it. Because Eminem was Eminem. Eminem was the biggest. But usually you could say from 1999 to 2002, around that time frame, it was Eminem and then Ja Rule when it comes to hits. Like, let's not get that twisted. Like, DMX wasn't getting number ones. He was getting great album sales. Like, this is the weird thing about the DMX and Ja Rule thing. Ja Rule wasn't selling insane albums. He was doing great. Don't get me wrong. I think he went double platinum on some of them, but he wasn't like first week sales weren't insane, but his singles were pushing insane numbers and number one. DMX wasn't getting number ones on the chart when it comes to songs, but his albums were selling like crazy, which is interesting in itself. I really wanted to look into that and see what the reason for that is. But yeah, Eminem was the only one that was like that nobody could beat, unequivocally. Like, you just knew he was number one. But Ja Rule was right under him. Like, there's no denying that. I think there's nobody in 1999 and 2002, and that, you want to say 3-4 year time frame, that was putting out as much hits as Ja Rule was. Besides Eminem. That's it. And that's the reality of the situation. I will die on that hill. Y'all want to argue with this with me? I will argue the fuck out of this. I'll do a live show debating with you guys on this shit. I will debate this till the day that I die, man. Shout out to Ja Rule, man. But I would love to do an interview with Ja Rule. I think that would be his. Listen, Ja Rule, if somehow you're watching this and you're hearing me, pull up to the podcast. I guarantee you, when you're getting ready to release your new album, I will give you your best interview. This shit will go viral. I know what questions to ask Ja Rule. So pull up, man. I have a lot of questions about your Pain is Love and Pain is Love 2 albums. I really enjoy those albums. So shout out to you, man. Let's get into the new music. A lot of new music came out. I haven't checked out a lot of it. Like I said, I don't really have the time, but I've heard a couple of records here and there. Meek Mill and Fabio Foreign dropped Same 24. Nicki Minaj and Future dropped Press Play. Lil Tecca dropped Tech Deluxe version. Joey Badass dropped Passports and Suitcases. Rob 49 and Lil Wayne dropped What's Ham, Baby. Set and Lil Baby dropped CBFU. Fredo Bang dropped Yes, I'm Sad, the album. Lil Dicky dropped Penneth, the soundtrack. Offset and Warren Hugh dropped Slopes, and Conway the Machine dropped Give and Give. That's really, really cool. Check out those projects if you got time. Billboard Hot 100. Once again, the Industry Plant is still number one with Lovin' on Me. Yeah, they really pushed the shit out of this record. It came out of number one out of nowhere. It's still number one. The top 3 hasn't changed at all. So Cruel Summer, Taylor Swift still at number 2, and Greedy with Tate McRae is still at number 3. Then at number 4, Zach Bryan, I Remember Everything. Number 5, Paint the Town Red, Doja Cat. Number 6, SZA, Snooze. Number 7, Water, Tyla. Number 8, Lose Control, Teddy Swims. Number 9, Agora Hills, Doja Cat. Number 10, Last Night, Morgan Wallen. Going down the list, FTCU, Nicki Minaj is number 15. That went up 2 slots. Rich Baby Daddy, Drake is at number 18. Wow, I don't like this record, Rich Baby Daddy, but Tony Ayo said something interesting in the Vlad TV interview. He said that this record was ringing off in Europe overseas. He said a lot of female rappers ring off overseas, which is a very interesting take. And I believe him because he's actually traveled overseas. Other people say stuff, but he's actually been there. Continuing on, Fuck You Mean Gunna, number 24. Everybody, Nicki Minaj, number 25. First Person Shooter, Drake, number 26. That went up a couple slots. Kill Bill, SZA, number 33. Usher, Good Good, number 34. I Know Travis Scott, number 37. JID, Surround Sound, number 40. You Broke My Heart, Drake, number 47. I Don't Give a Fuck, Drake, number 51. 500 Pounds, Lil Tecca, number 56. Fiend, Travis Scott, number 74. Virginia Beach, Drake, number 78. Rich Man, North the Richmond. I don't know why I love saying that. Number 81, went up a couple slots. My Eyes, Travis Scott, number 82. Great Gatsby, Rod Wave, number 83. Slime You Out, Drake, number 86. Lace It, Roll It Up, Lace It, Juice WRLD, Eminem, Benny Blanco, number 91. And T Grizzly, Mariah, Scientist, Chris Brown. I Don't Give a Fuck, number 10. Not number 10. 100, sorry. Number 100. That went up. That debuted there, number 100. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, that's it for today's episode of the Diverse Mentality Podcast. I wholeheartedly appreciate all of you. Thank you guys for always listening, tuning in. I can't wait to make the announcement of the new deal. And I hope you guys support it. I would really appreciate it. If it's something that you're not into, I understand, but I hope you guys check it out. Appreciate it. It would mean the world to me. And that's it. Stream us, Spotify, Deezer, Pocket Casts, everywhere you can stream podcasts, and check us out on YouTube and all the social medias as well, TikTok, all that stuff. Patreon, we appreciate the Patreon support as well. Have an amazing night, day, whenever you listen to this, and peace.